Hey, good morning YouTube. How you guys doing today? It is me again, your favorite Texas trucker, and I am rolling through the northern part of Fort Worth, almost to the Burleson terminal where I'll be dropping this off, and then I'm going to be going home. So this is pretty much the end of my month-long journey. And then I'll be home for about 4 days, leaving out again. This is Saturday, so I'll be leaving out again Wednesday afternoon.
1.25 miles.
And then I'll be out for 4 weeks.
67.
This next time.
To I-35W.
So thought I'd make another video before I go home. I'm going to try to upload a bunch of them today, tonight or tomorrow. Anyway, this home time I'm going to upload a few, and I may make a couple more. But I wanted to upload a couple more videos. We've been talking about health and cooking, and I told y'all that I would kind of tell you some of the things that I cook here in the truck. And so I've tried to find a recipe that I find tasty and that is relatively healthy, all right, and something that's fairly simple. And out here in the truck, what I found, because
on right to
I told you before that one of the obstacles that we have to face is storage. So I try to do the same thing as much as possible, and it can get a little repetitious, and every 2 or 3 weeks or so I change it.
Continue on I-35.
And that sun is killing me. But every 2 or 3 weeks ago I change it up and I do something different. But probably my favorite recipe, and I don't have a name for it. Some of you may think it sounds good, some of you don't. I don't know. I challenge you to give it a shot. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to list the ingredients, and then I'm going to tell you how I prepare it. Okay? And keep in mind that I cook this for an entire week. So I'm going to tell you, about how much stuff that I buy, and and then we'll go through it and we'll talk about what we do to prepare it. First, I buy 3 zucchini, and then I'll buy 3 yellow squash, and then I buy turkey breast cutlets, or in the event that I'm going home and I've got some turkey at the house, I'll smoke a turkey at the house and I'll bring out the smoked meat frozen as an alternative. Okay, I buy red, yellow, and orange bell peppers, one of each. I buy a fairly decent size purple onion. I buy about 9 jalapeno peppers, and I buy fresh green beans. Alright. The amount that I buy varies. At Walmart, they have pre-packaged fresh green beans, and then they have the bulk fresh green beans. Now, what I do is I go to the bulk fresh green beans first, and I inspect them, and if they look, like they're not all that great, which sometimes they do, then I'll pass those up and I'll buy the pre-packaged ones. If the bulk fresh green beans look like they're in good condition, then I'll buy those instead. And and I'll just, I put quite a bit. I don't really weigh it. I just kind of put quite a bit in the bag, and I take it with me right now. At some point in the first couple of days that I'm out on the truck, I will take time, and usually what I'll do is I'll drive, the first load, I'll deliver it, and then if there's a waiting time between that load and the next load, which usually in my first 1 or 2 loads, I've got a little bit of downtime. So as soon as that downtime hits, because this does take a little while, Then I'll take and I'll process all those vegetables. Okay, and so I have gallon bags. First thing I'll do is I'll take and I'll cube all of the zucchini and the squash. Alright, so I cut them in half, then I take each half, cutting long ways, into 3 sections, and then I cube all the way down on each half of each zucchini and each squash. And then I take those cubes and I put them in a gallon Ziploc bag together. So I mix the two together. Alright, in the bell peppers, I dice the bell peppers. All 3 bell peppers together, red, yellow, and orange bell peppers. I dice them and I mix them together. And then I will add to that the diced onion. Usually I will take it, if I end up with a large onion, I'll use half of it. If it's a smaller onion or, medium-sized onion, then I'll use the whole thing. Then I'll dice the entire onion and I'll mix it in with the bell peppers. Those go in the refrigerator. It's just 2 completely different bags. One bag with squash, one bag with bell peppers. Next, I will dice the jalapeno peppers. Of course, I seed them and then I dice them. Alright, and once those are diced, I put them in a small baggie, and like a sandwich bag, and I put them in the refrigerator. Alright, and then the green beans, I'll take and I'll cut the ends off. If I buy them fresh, then I'll cut the ends off of each end, and then I'll cut them in thirds, put them in a bag. If I buy the prepackaged ones, then usually the ends are already cut off on the prepackaged ones, and all I do is take and cut them down into thirds, and then put them in a bag. Right? Once you've done all that, you're prepared. Okay. I take the turkey before I freeze it, and I'll buy the packs of cutlets, lean turkey cutlets, and I take those and I package them individually in sandwich bags, and then I put them in the refrigerator. Now I alternate sometimes between lean turkey cutlets and lean pork cutlets. Okay, and so sometimes I'll use the pork cutlets instead of the turkey cutlets. Now, I'll also buy a small tub of real whipped butter, and I use a sweet cream butter. I don't use margarine. We talked about that the other day. And I cook this in my skillet. When I'm ready to cook, I'll usually cook enough for 2 days. And so, first I'll take, a fairly generous amount of butter, and I'll put it into the electric skillet and let it begin to melt. Alright. As it's melting, I'll coat the inside of the skillet with that, but I don't let it melt all the way down because it'll burn fairly quickly. Alright. Once it's got a good melt starting on it, and it's mostly down and softening up, then I'll take and I'll add squash to that, the mixed squash and zucchini. I'll take that mix and I'll put, a generous amount in the pan, usually enough to pretty much cover the bottom of the pan. And then to that, I take a couple handfuls of the bell pepper and onion mix, and I'll add that to it. And to that, I'll add a couple handfuls of the green beans to that. And to that, I'll add, a good amount of the jalapeno. I'll mix that up really good. I'll let that start cooking. While that's starting to cook, I will take the turkey breast cutlet, which, I will have taken out previously that day and let it begin to thaw. And I'll cube it. If I use pork, I do the same thing. I cube it. I cut it into small cubes. Turkey breast cutlet goes quite a ways. If I'm going to cook a lot of it, then sometimes I'll use 2 cutlets, or sometimes, it depends on the size of the cutlets. So you want a decent ratio. You want at least enough meat in there to have a decent, ratio of meat to vegetable. that's cubed, I put it in there with the vegetables. I mix it up real good. Now, for seasonings, I don't cook with salt. One of the reasons I don't cook with salt is because I have high blood pressure. And so in order for me to control my high blood pressure, I have to be on a low sodium diet. So I don't use salt. What I do use is, I use a decent amount of pepper. I don't over pepper it, but I use a decent amount of pepper. And then I add parsley, I add garlic, I add chipotle seasoning, and then I add the chipotle seasoning that I use is a Mrs. Dash brand of chipotle seasoning. It has no sodium. So I use the chipotle seasoning, the garlic, the pepper, garlic, pepper, chipotle seasoning, parsley, and oregano. And those are the spices that I use. Mix them up, very good, and then I put the lid on and I let it cook. You got to stir this occasionally or it'll burn to the bottom of your skillet. You don't want that to happen. So about every 2 or 3 minutes, I'll take it off and I'll stir everything up, make sure it's good, flip everything over so that everything's getting cooked on both sides. Of course, you want to cook it until the meat is completely done, and you want to cook it until the vegetables are beginning to brown all the way around. All right, and that's pretty much it. It's done. Now, some people may look at it and be like, the squash and the zucchini, and all that stuff, Well, I'll tell you, don't knock it until you try it. I had a friend of mine in Millis who kind of turned his nose up at it, but he didn't have anything to eat. We were stuck at the Cartersville terminal. Either he didn't have anything to eat or he didn't really want to cook. I don't know which one it was, but he kept asking me what I was cooking for dinner, and I kept telling him. And at first, he was like, "Man, I can't do the squash," And so I told him, I was like, "Well, I'll tell you what." I said, "I'm going to cook enough for you to eat, and if you want it, I'll let you know when it's ready. You can come over and get it. If you don't want it, that's cool. I'll freeze it or put it in the refrigerator, and I'll eat it the next day." So I went out and I cooked that night in the truck, and I sent him a message and told him, "Man, hey, dinner's ready. If you want something to eat, come on over here and grab it." So he came over and he got it, and he was like, "That's some of the best stuff I've ever eaten in my life." He's like, "Man, I could eat a gallon of that stuff." So don't knock it till you try it. It's good. It's very good, and it's good for you. There's a lot of minerals and vegetables and vitamins found in the red, yellow, and orange bell peppers. A lot more than what's in the green bell peppers, which is why I don't really use the green ones. The green ones, I don't have anything against them. There's a lot more benefit to using the others. Also, there's some benefits to using real butter. The butter adds fat to the meal, which adds flavor. As long as you don't overdo it, you're good to go. I use a lean turkey or a lean pork because lean meats, for diabetics are better for me. And it has high protein content. Then the zucchini and the squash together, they have quite a few vitamins and minerals in them themselves. And it's a good content. It's just a good overall meal. It's filling. It definitely satisfies me. And for cooking like that, once you cube all that stuff up, now you can easily spend $25-$30 on these ingredients. And that's about, I haven't, worked it completely out, but that's about what it costs, about $25-$30 for all the ingredients. All right, but you sit down and you work out, what you get out of it. Right? I can cook off of that for 5 days. Right? I can actually cook 5 times with what I mix up. All right, now out of what I mix up, I can get 2 meals. So I get roughly 10 meals for $30-$35. So we'll say $3.50 a meal. All right, $3.50 a meal. I'm fed for 10 days. All right, and I only have to cook every other day. On the off day, then the day that I'm eating the leftovers, I don't have a microwave in my truck. So what I do is I use my lunchbox oven, and you get the get a real bread pan liner. For one thing, it's too difficult to clean. For two, it doesn't fit in the lunchbox oven. You get the foil 9-inch bread pan liners, and they fit perfectly right inside the lunchbox oven. You take your leftovers, you fill it up, you put it in that bread pan lining, stick it in your lunchbox oven, turn it on. 30 minutes later, you got dinner. You don't have to do any work, no cleanup. So, that's just one of the meals that I cook while I'm out here on the road. If you follow me on Facebook, then you've already seen me post pictures of this, okay? Because a lot of times when I cook in the truck, I post pictures of the food that I cook when I'm in the truck. And a lot of people have looked at those pictures, and asked me, for the recipe. I've given it to them on Facebook, so you may already have it. But this is what I do. This is how I do it. So I just kind of wanted to share that with you today. And y'all take care and peace out.